Hello, this is Dennis with A1 Telephone Service and Repair, A1 Electronics. You can reach us on the web at www.a1-telephone.com, and you can also reach us at 618-235-6959. Today I want to show you two really cool military field phones, and these are Hamilton's telephones from California. And he has painted both of these telephones, and they're in the Battlestar Galactica theme. And so basically that's what they're going to be. And he's done a nice job. They look good. And he has the stickers for the Battlestar Galactica theme, and he has also the heat sink that would go on the handset. So he's going to take care of all that. And what we need to do is turn these both into working telephones. And so what he's got here first, we'll look at this TA1, and it's all original, it's all here basically. And so what we're going to be doing is removing this, but utilizing his original cord if we can, and installing a modular plug on this and make it the handset cord, the line cord. And then we have to go in and do some various things, but we have to change the voice transmitter and the receiver. We have to go in and see if his signal indicator is working, because when we set these telephones up to ring, we like to set them up to where everything is working and his indicator kicks into place, and hopefully all that will be intact and it's savable. But it's just a really nice telephone. And he's done a nice job on the paint. So basically, you know, some of the edges, you know, these were used. So when, you know, it gets used a little bit, it'll start getting that little wear marks on it. And so that will be real nice. And we'll get this one taken care of. Now we're going to do separate videos on each one of these telephones. Even though we're showing them together right now, we're going to do separate videos when we get started on both of them, and we'll do one of them at a time. Now this is the TA954, and we have to go in this handset and change everything too, because the transmitter and the receiver would not be the same impedance of what we need. And so he has a full handset here, and everything's looking good on that, and it has its plug, its original plug, that plugs into the TA954 base. So another thing that we probably want to do after we finish this telephone up is try to, now that it's painted, what they had here was a receive variable, and it said low and high for volume. And if you notice this little white paint here, usually that's illuminated paint. And we do have that paint, so what we're going to try to do is fill that in where it says low and high volume receiver. This is switches for the ring cycle, off and on, and ring, and then low, off, and high. So basically we're going to try to get that involved. Hamilton probably has all the rest of the stickers that go on there. We also want to make this LED here light when we get a signal or a ring cycle. You can turn off the mechanical ringer, because he says in his letter here he wants it just like it was in Battlestar Galactica. So in other words, he wants all the bells and whistles, he's saying. And so we're going to have the mechanical ringer that we install in these. We're going to have the light here, so we could actually turn off the mechanical ringer and still have his light flashing. So, you know, you're kind of like in silent mode. And I have the screws out of this telephone, so what we're going to do is I'm going to pull the cover off. If you've never seen the inside of one of these, move everything to the side here. And I want to flip this around. And so that's basically what this looks like on the inside. There's quite a bit to this telephone. and I want to flip it around here so you can see the inside of the base. And all this will be removed. It's no longer any good for any kind of consumer use. And so basically we'll set this up, and there'll be a new board that we install and connect that up to the keypad, and then remove all of this PC board and power supply and everything. We don't need it. And then install our mechanical ringer and kind of go from there. Now we also want to install a modular port in this telephone, so Hamilton can simply walk up to this telephone and plug any line cord that he wants into it. So it's really going to be a cool situation. He's got it all painted, and it looks good, and I'm sure these are going to be turn out really nice. Now we get a lot of calls on these telephones. People are very interested in them, and people want to have them converted, and they just turn out to be a really nice situation. And we'll do separate videos on these. Okay, we're going to be working on the TA1 handset for Hamilton first. And so what we have to do is start disassembling this telephone, and we're going to have to remove the transmitter and the receiver capsule, and we have to go up into the unit and remove a lot of the inside workings. Also wanted to show you the plug that's on this, which is an original plug, and it says caution 100 volts. So basically, if you had a hold of that in the normal working situation, it's a pretty good possibility that you would get shocked. So there is some voltage that runs through these telephones because of the magneto in them on the field. And so we'll be also going in and looking to see if the element that pops up here for a signal is working. And so that's basically what we're going to be working on in the process of getting everything straightened out. Now on these mechanical ringers, every TA1 that I have ever worked on, I've always had to go into the mechanical ringer and do some type of repair or adjustment or redesign so that they will work, because they're very touchy. There's a solenoid, and then there's a flapper in the solenoid, and it moves up and down to create your mechanical knocking noise. And so what happens is, you know, if you just are out of adjustment a little bit, it won't work at all. So there's a lot of work to it, and it gets pretty involved, and so it just takes a little bit to get it all straightened out. Another thing that we want to do with the indicator, and I'll show you that, when you go on hook with this unit, when it's finished up, what's going to happen is it will be activated when you turn the phone on, and then your indicator will show, and then when you hang up, it'll go away. Or when you activate the phone, you could say off hook. And then when you hang up, it will go away. So when you pick the phone up and turn it on, you will have your indication that you're online. And then when you hang up, it will go away. And so now what we can do also is we'll test it, we'll ring it. I'll let that go a few times. See how touchy that is if you just adjust it a little bit? I'll let that go a few more times. And then we'll answer it. So now what we're going to do is I'm going to take a break from the video. Another thing that we want to take care of is we want to make this connection here, instead of look like this, it'll be a modular port that can be plugged in and utilized. So we're going to use this as the line cord in a sense, and then that can plug into another line cord through a splitter, so you have plenty of length. So we're going to keep the original cord, curly cord, but use it as a line cord like they were doing. So there's a lot involved in these, and we're just getting everything straightened out. I'll try to get some more video as we go on. Another issue that we want to redesign and take care of is behind the rubber boot here. We're going to have some type of off and on switch that can be pressed once to come on and then pressed one more time to go off. So we're going to have to redesign the inside of the telephone here so that we can install a switch, because there's not a lot of room in here, and they don't give you many things to mount to. It basically looks like that, and it would be in this area. And if it works out, we might have to put it on this side, on this rubber boot. So we're just going to have to see how it all works out and kind of go with the design, because in the past we've put a switch in this area to turn it off and on, and I don't believe they want to do that. I kind of think they want the switch in the rubber boot. I don't think they want one, since this is a BSG prop telephone. I don't think they want that switch on the outside. So anyway, it's just we're in the middle of the process here of getting everything straightened out, and we'll get some more video here in a little bit. Okay, we're finished up with the telephone now, and these TA1s are very cool telephones, and this one's going to be used as a Battlestar Galactica prop, but only it's going to be a working version. And so what we have here now is we've installed a main PC board for our network, and we have a newer style microphone element, and we also have a receiver that's been replaced, and we've got our modular plug installed on our line cord here, and then in the original push to talk switch, which was just a momentary switch because you would push it to talk, and then when you stop talking, you would let off of it. In this case, we've changed everything. We've used the original linkage, but we've ran that over and changed the linkage some and went to a switch that when you press it down, it comes on, and then when you're done with your conversation, you press it again and it turns the phone off. Our signal indicator here, when you turn the telephone on, will engage, and you'll be able to see it, and that's illuminated paint, and it'll glow in the dark. You can see that. And so then you turn it off, and then that signal indicator will go away, and that's how you know the telephone's been turned off. You could actually watch it come and go. But there's a couple of factors on these TA1s. You know, they're only as good as what your line voltage is going to be on your telephone line, because we have a mechanical clacker, and since it's been designed this way from the factory, there's not much we can do. We've had a lot of problems in the past with these TA1s and these mechanical clackers. It seems like they are very, very touchy, and there's just not a lot you can do, and it really depends on your line voltage whether they work really well or not. But they're so touchy because of the fact that when you're using this volume knob here to turn it up and down, actually what you're doing is there's a flapper on the solenoid, and you're raising a pin that goes to a diaphragm, and you're either lowering it or making it go up, and that depends on the volume of the telephone. And so they're just very, very touchy. And you know, the better the telephone line, the better ring cycle you're going to get out of it. So they're very dependent on a good telephone line. And they're also touchy, so that's an issue. But anyway, the other issue for a good strong telephone line is the signal indicator, because there's a coil underneath of it, and when you turn the telephone on, that activates that coil, which causes a field that causes the signal indicator to engage. So naturally, the more voltage on your line, the better that will engage, and the quicker. So that's all kind of dependent on the telephone line. But anyway, what we've got here now is a nice Battlestar Galactica TA1 handset that actually works. So we're going to go ahead and do a few checks here. I'm going to go ahead and make sure that it's turned off, and I want to plug it in. And on a ring cycle, you may have to do this a time or two. You may want to call it and try to adjust it and set it where you like it and leave it. But it could sound different from expansion and contraction in the atmosphere. These mechanical clackers that are designed in this manner are kind of, they're very touchy. I'm going to turn it all the way off, and I was on a ring cycle there. And when one comes by, I'm going to turn it up. And then that's all the way up. Turn it down on a ring cycle. And then I'll turn it back up. And so we'll let that go a couple times. I'm going to go ahead and stop that. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to switch the telephone over into a regular telephone line, and I'll show you the signal indicator. And I'm not pressing the switch in all the way, because if I did, it would just stay on. I'm just kind of showing you that when you turn the line on, your indicator will be in place, and then when you turn the telephone off, it'll go away. And so I'll turn it on and give you some dial tone. And then I'll turn it off. And so now what we want to do is I'm going to grab another. These telephones weren't made to stand up. They had a belt clip on them, and you're supposed to have it on your belt, or you would just lay them down. So they really weren't meant to stand up. And that's one fallback to them. I'm going to grab another telephone here, and what I'm going to do is activate the line with a TA1. Then I'm going to use another telephone to dial, say, a time and temp number. And then I'm going to hang up this telephone.
Good morning. Offenburg St. Clair Auto Mall with 5 new car lines at one location in O'Fallon. Offenburg.com. Today is Wednesday, May 2nd. The time is 1:31. Current temperature 78 degrees. Now the Belleville area weather forecast. Partly cloudy tonight, lows in the upper 60s, mostly sunny on Wednesday, a high in the upper 80s.
Okay, so now I can turn off my telephone, and then I'll turn it back on, and I'll call my number, and it'll be busy. So I'm going to activate the line, and you'll see the signal indicator kick in. Turn the other telephone on and call my line. And then hang up the phone. And we'll turn it off. The signal indicator went away. Now we'll call one other number, so I'll access the line again. And
thank you for calling Walmart.
Okay. We don't need nothing from there. So we know that the telephone is working, but like I said, these telephones are pretty, the TA1s are pretty dependent on the telephone line voltage. They're going to work better with a lot more voltage on the line, you know, a good telephone line, a strong telephone line. And it will also depend on the ring cycle that they're sending you, will depend on how the mechanical clacker will sound. Now, if there was something that I could do to redesign the whole situation, I would, because everyone I've ever worked on has had problems, and they're very touchy. But since there's limited space and clearance, there's not much I can do about it, except for adjust them to the best that they are, and make them as touchy as you can get for the telephone line that you're going to get out of them, and go from there, because we're just limited to what we have here. And the only way to get away from it would be to replace the whole unit on the bottom half here, because it's all designed together. So there's not much we can do about that. We'll set the telephone over into the analyzer one more time and ring it. We'll let that go a couple times. I'll try to stand it up. We'll go ahead and answer it. And so these are really cool telephones, and they're very nice props, and they're just a really cool item. Kind of gives you a look at it. And this one's in very good shape. This is Dennis with A1 Telephone Service and Repair, A1 Electronics. You can reach us on the web at www.a1-telephone.com, and you can also reach us at 618-235-6959. Now we have a TA954 that we're going to be working on next, and that's also Hamilton's telephone. So we'll get some video of that, and that's going to be a really cool telephone also. And on those telephones, he also wants the mechanical clacker, but I have more control over how well that one works, because I design those clackers, mechanical ringers, myself, and I can work with them, and so they turn out a lot louder and a lot better. Anyway, they're just great too. He's got two great telephones here, and they're really going to be cool to be able to use and put them into service. Thank you for watching, and have a great day.